Very cute. The cutest thing I've heard all day. So you all want to join us?
Sure. Yes.
Please do.
Okay.
Just don't listen to each other. They're bad influence.
Are these just lines of the people that you actually see?
So they can sell.
Oh.
You have to buy one of these before you leave. No, these are, they're trying to measure the impact of the dust off the road on the rock art.
Gotcha.
And so they've replicated the rock art using the same pigments and the same rock material, so they can see what impact it's having. And then the little thing that looks, remember the old floppy disk?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
The thing that looks like the floppy disk, it is just strips of tape. And so when the dust comes up, and so every couple of weeks they come up and take that off and see how much.
Measure the particulate. Yeah.
You might have to put a shield or something.
Well, I thought they had a big.
To blow it out.
Wind things.
Yeah. Just keep the air circulating.
And then you have electricity too.
We could all stand up here and blow.
And you mentioned it to this crowd.
Yeah, that's right. You got me going. So. That's how the bad influence was.
It's all coming from California.
I was nice and serious until they got it.
Did they, is this where they have the fires? They have a fire pit here?
So this is you're asking some good questions. This is an interesting story. So this is called the grotto,
Okay.
and it's because there's no soil up on these red rocks. They call them slick rock. So when it rains, the water comes down through the two slits in the rock here.
Yeah.
This becomes a pool. So we get half our precipitation between the end of June and the end of September.
Oh.
So the summer is the wet
Monsoon.
period.
It's wet.
Monsoon.
Oh, monsoon. Huh?
So this fills up with water, and then the frogs come out,
Yeah.
and they lay their
Really?
eggs in here. So mid July, we've got thousands of tadpoles swimming around.
Oh, wow.
So I come up here. I usually come up here on Thursdays. I come up here on Thursday, and they said, yesterday, Wednesday, we had an intruder out here because we came up and there were human footprints, bare footprints all around the grotto. And so they called our supervising ranger here to report it. And she said, that was me. So
She was collecting.
I went up there with buckets and nets, and I captured all the tadpoles because I knew this was going to dry up. And I took them to a tank and released them.
Oh,
So
okay.
she saved all the.
I was wondering who was going to save the tadpoles.
So now we've
Now
got.
I know.
I see animal prints.
Somebody's been digging, so you can see some javelina prints here.
Yeah.
You can see some scat, which is
All right, yeah.
translates into English as poop.
From what?
See the
Probably fox.
Fox?
Fox poop?
We get skunks coming up here, but this is all probably javelina that I've
When
done.
it went javelina, I said deer?
Pig.
Oh, pig.
Wild
Oh,
pig.
like that guy? That's
Yeah,
pig?
that's his footprint there.
Oh, yeah, I know
Not
what
very big,
javelina
are they?
is. Yeah.
No, well, they can get
Those are those
30,
mean
40
things.
pounds.
on the golf
I was
course.
thinking about
Yeah, so
tornadoes.
once
Yeah.
And they're not really pigs.
They're
They're called
mean.
collared peccary, and they're closer in relation to the
You want in here?
rhinoceros.
To a rhinoceros?
Yeah,
Small rhinoceros, okay.
something
Wow.
without a pike on their head.
Wow. They infest like golf courses and stuff. Yeah.
They can make a real
They
mess.
make a mess out of everything there.
And they don't see well, so they get more injuries to domestic dogs
Oh.
because they'll come up and sniff at the javelina, and the javelina think they're attacking them, so they'll go after them.
kick
them.
So they
Yeah,
can turn
not
them
good.
over.
Yeah.
So, we talk about petroglyphs and pictographs.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, this is the cool part.
So, did we look at the pigments?
No.
No, we didn't get to the
So let's
pigments, we
look
only
at
got
some
to
pigments.
the turquoise.
We looked at turquoise, and this is called kaolite, or kaolin clay. And
It's
so
clay.
you see some of the,
Yeah, it's clay.
take it out. You get it all over your hands. if you want. Just with the proviso that there's probably been about 30 other visitors that put their.
Okay,
feet
now
in.
you put it on your cheeks.
And then it-
Seriously, the next one's red.
I'll pass. You can do it.
All right.
I like the red stuff myself.
You're waiting
All
for the
right,
red,
now
then
we're
you have to put it on.
Now we're going with yellow, so you,
Okay.
you
See, that's more fun.
It's
Get
a
some color
yellow,
here.
it's cool.
That's more.
What is it called again?
lemonite.
Lemonade.
And
That's
so,
how they make
now you
lemon.
put your white powder on my lemonites.
I didn't do that, she
Oh.
did that.
I didn't have any, so I
Put my
didn't.
peanut butter with the chocolate?
They're worse than you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. Hey, we're stepping back.
I turned in my badge and going to get my pina colada.
There you have it.
So now, where's this lemonade?
Drove
In
me
this
to
box?
it. Didn't take long.
I'll show you some lemonite figures in a second. So they tell us if they take this and heat it to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns dark purple. So that's where they get the purple color,
Okay.
if they have an oven either. So this is
What for? For decoration?
Color.
Oh,
for
obsidian.
their pictograms.
Oh, to draw with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I
So this
didn't know
is
that.
obsidian,
Yeah, okay, that we know.
and that is
Oh, I've seen that, the geo thing.
gypsum.
Gypsum.
This is called desert rose.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And
I've
what do they
seen
use
that.
the
I've
gypsum
seen
for?
that.
What, color?
No, wallboard for construction.
You can dig those.
And
Oh, stop it. They just took the,
these are just,
they took the fun out of it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
No,
you
they
know,
won't-
in our
they won't-
area, gypsum we use for,
No.
all right,
to dig up clay.
and I'm gonna throw a curve at you.
Careful.
Maybe
Is this a
it's
test?
wallboard.
There's a
Rock.
test later.
Our rock identification class.
Why?
Oh, isn't that pretty? It looks like glass, melted glass.
It's like
Oh,
obsidian.
Salt? You lick it.
I'm gonna guess
You lick
salt.
it.
I'm not gonna lick it. Salt.
Wanna lick it, Tay?
Salt maybe?
No, don't think
It looks kind of dirty, doesn't it? Yeah, we're
It's
smarter
not
than
selenite, but that's the only thing it looks close to.
Silica?
Selenite.
Selenite?
Oh, silica, maybe.
No,
Well, these
selenite's
other ones-
more.
This is, they were right, it's halite. It's salt.
Halite.
What is it?
Peanut,
Halite.
rock salt.
Oh,
Rock
okay.
Salt. And it comes
It
from
is
a
salt,
salt, there's a
see?
salt mine
It
about
does
10
look
tasted
like
it.
rock salt.
Stuck in your
Drink
tongue.
salt.
Could have confirmed it, but it looked kind of
Wow.
So
dirty.
the salt mine that this came from in the 1930s, they excavated it and they found two ancient people that were,
Petrified, huh?
well, they were salted.
Salted.
It was the first case was a
So
salt.
dry.
First
They
case
were
was a salt and
cured.
battery, and
We're giving you a fun day.
And that solves the riddle. How do you die when you've been cured?
Yeah, that's right.
let's just drive in.
Get it? Cured and
Let's
solved.
drive into town and get a couple.
How can you die when you've been cured?
All right, this has nothing to do with rock art either, but this is
It's going on my
fossilized.
YouTube channel.
That's cool.
Just a nice piece of it.
People will now know my
Look at it,
secret.
it's just sitting in
I
there.
love corny humor.
See? Fossilized sponge.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's another fossil what?
Sponge.
Sponge.
Sponge?
Ooh.
That's
Ooh,
a
I'm
beautiful.
gonna touch that.
Look at
Where's
this.
your hand?
touch
I always like rocks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, which one is
Gotta
this?
pick up a
Fossilized
red rock.
Fossilized
Oh, they're all fossil. Okay.
Yeah, I usually.
see that?
They're
get
beautiful.
rocks better.
I'm going to take a little video of these while you hold them quickly. Because they're pretty.
Let me see your camera for a second. I like the sweep. I like
Okay.
Josh's.
Gorgeous.
Or you may, or you may not. I gotta see which
I'm good.
pocket
See
it
how
went into.
good the picture turns
You
out.
done?
Right?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm gonna do that.
And just
We
if you're
could do
looking
it
at
like,
rocks,
oh,
that's called
Maybe,
Apache tear.
Oh, I've seen those
I've seen
before.
this.
I have a cat
I'll hold your stick.
t-shirt.
Give me your stick.
It's my ugly Christmas
There, wait, hold still.
My daughter has an ugly
It's our ugly
Christmas cat t-shirt. Yeah.
T-shirt from Walmart. Thank you for reminding me to
That's
go
right.
get
You're
it.
gonna have to go and find it now.
I couldn't resist.
You didn't bring it along to
I
come
didn't bring
visit?
it. No, I could have.
Yeah, I'm done.
I need that. What is this?
Apache tier?
So I've
A
read that
what?
they'll find medicine bundles, medicine bags,
Yeah.
in some of these excavations, and lots of times they find these patchy tears in them. So they think they had some type of special meaning to them. And then
Good for bowel movements, or just push it right through.
I'm not going there anymore.
Oh,
So this is red. They get a red and black pigment out of this.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
hematite.
Okay. I've never seen red hematite. That's
And
awesome.
this one's been worked. It's got chips out of the side of it where they were hitting it with the stone.
oh, for a
To make-
tomahawk?
Probably this is what they call a core, but they were making chips off of this and then making a tool.
Yeah.
The chip that came out of it, depending on what form came out of it when they did that. So,
Now let's
White
get to
color
the good
pigment.
stuff.
some of the oldest rock art here
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this
yeah.
work. See where my pointer is here?
I got a whole line. I can't look at where.
Can you
Oh,
see
okay.
this here?
Yeah.
So this is what they call Western Archaic style, late Archaic, about 3,000 to 4,000 years old. And the depiction is a lot like, here it is here. You can see it up closer.
Wow.
So what is it?
Looks like rain.
A house? Oh, really?
Rain.
Right.
But
So-
I see squares.
Pardon?
Oh!
That's that's a tic-tac-toe game, you're getting it confused.
I see the rain. I see the rain.
It's like looking at clouds.
Like the curvy thing is the rain? Okay.
Down here is the rain coming down.
Yeah.
These are clouds.
I
up here.
said it in my mind, but I was going to say
And
it.
this might be something indicating a village with a different.
Yeah, I think so, that's not good.
So over
Still.
here is a red hand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you get closer, there's about 5 hands all in this area. And then you see a white pigment animal. And then over here we see a round disc and there's jagged line and there's 4 triangles, 1 here,
Oh, yeah.
2 here, and 1 there. And they think this represents the position of the sun on the morning of the summer solstice
Oh.
okay.
on this ridge back here. So these jagged lines are a representation of the ridge behind us. And these are the 2 equinox, and this is the position of the sun on the morning
Wow.
of the winter solstice. And so this is a solar calendar, and it's keeping track of how close the sun gets to what happens at the time of the summer solstice in this area. That's when our monsoon season starts, the end of June.
Oh, the
So,
rain.
so they want to make sure their crops are well rooted before the sun gets to this point and the rains come. So that could be the function of that. So our supervising archaeologist at our last training course, we're talking about this, and he says, I don't buy it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because there's a program on just recently,
I don't want to follow.
Indian civilizations and all from Mesoamerican stuff, and almost every single one of them has kind of a calendar
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
Either the Great Pyramids in Teotihuacan or whatever, but they're all lining up for crops and stuff and where, things are. And that just lines up with what everybody else is.
Well, and he's not a big fan of astroastronomy
Okay.
or archaeoastronomy, I guess.
It just makes sense. It's a timepiece. Basically, it's not just. It's a
Well,
timepiece.
the other part of it is that they totally believe in the Kachina religion,
Right.
and the Kachinas come to their villages on the winter solstice, and they leave on the summer solstice. So they have a celebration called Solyal, which celebrates the winter solstice, the welcoming of the Kachinas.
Yeah.
And then when they leave, they have the farewell dance called the Niman, at 4 days after the summer
It
solstice.
just makes sense, doesn't it?
So
Yeah.
it
To me, it makes sense.
yeah. So things that make sense don't always make sense. Right?
That's why I'm retired. Everything has to make
You
sense.
learn that
to
when
me
you
now.
when you're associated with the Forest Service.
Yeah.
So a lot of this, I think has to do with rain and fertility.
Like, what is this ladder and this
So-
animal?
So next to the ladder is what we call a single pole ladder.
Right.
So, or it could be a stalk of corn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And then next to the ladder is a charcoal figure riding on an animal. So we talked about Antonio de Espejo coming here 1583. And the Yavapai people were here at that time. The Sanawa people, the ancient ancestors of the Hopi, were gone by then. And so early on, archaeologists said, oh, well, the Yavapai were so impressed by seeing the conquistadors come in here. They'd never seen a horse before. So they rushed over here and they painted one up on the... they didn't ask the Yavapai. The Yavapai people believe that there's a spirit that lives in the rocks called an Akako Achieva. And the Akako Achieva has the ability to ride on animals like deer and elk. So a lot of these figures, and there's many of them around here, if you look at them, it's supposed to be a horse has antlers
Yes.
and has other things, and there's no rein that he's holding on to. So they're more likely they're an Akaka than they are a conquistador. So, same thing goes with there's a cross.
I saw that.
And so the idea is, well, they first encountered Christianity when Antonio de Espejo came in here, so that's...
Paul, this is Vicki. You have a group of 3 people, the Taylors, that just went up to the
That's us.
crash first. If you could send them on down, Jim will take them up to
We've been banished already.
Oh, but you were not finished yet. Can we wait?
We want more. We want more.
Taylors are on their way.
No, sorry.
Taylors are on the right.
Wait, we have to come back then?
Figure that out with Vicky. If you want to walk up here a second time.
It's not a bad height.
Well, you guys aren't with them, right?
No. No, we are not.
Although they seem fun.
You want to tell them you want to go on a different tour?
Yeah. Do you want to wait and finish here?
Do you go back into here at all, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go further. Why don't I tell her
Nice.
that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just catch your...
Vicky, can the Taylors go on the 215 tour? Because they want to finish looking at some stuff here.
Pretty please?
People came from 3 worlds that existed in the underground. And they came into this world at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, a place called the Seppuku, which is the place of emergence. And they called this the 4th world. And when they came up at the bottom of the Grand Canyon at the Seppuku, they saw these giant footprints in the sand, and they followed it to a big fire hearth. And sitting by that fire hearth was what kids today call a zombie, a walking dead person.
Yeah.
And they asked him what his name was, and he said it was Masao, and he was the owner of the surface of the earth. And they said, well, since you tell us you own the surface of the earth, I guess we need to get your permission to live here. And he said, you can live here as long as you become stewards of the earth. In order to do that, you're going to have to go on a great migration to the 4 corners of the earth. So they believe that their ancient ancestors went as far south as the tip of South America and as far north as the Arctic Ocean and the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean on this great migration. And that this was just one of the places they stopped along the way.
Wow.
Mesa also told them that when you finish the migration, to go and live in the mesas north and east of Flagstaff, where they are today. So when archaeologists tell us that we don't know why these people have left this valley and we don't know where they went, the Hopi say we know the answer to both those questions. That we were preordained to finish the migration and go live in the mesas north and east of Flagstaff. So Hopi have about 34 existing clans today. They once had about 60 clans. And every clan has a totem. So a totem is a sign or a symbol. And so one of the southern clans of the Hopi was the Palatki clan of the water clan. The sign of the water clan is the turtle.
Oh, the turtle.
There's a turtle here.
Oh, look at that.
There's a turtle here.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
So they think that probably 2 different migrating groups came through here with members of the Palatki clan in it, and they left their totems up here for their descendants to see. So that was the other thing that Masao told them to do, and that was to
See what it did?
leave behind their footprints. So before we move too much further this way, there's one other thing I wanted to show you, and that's when Jesse Fuchs, who was the person that named this place Palatki in 1895. When he was up in Hopi Mesas, he wanted them to sketch for him what Nassau looked like. And this was the sketch that they made for Jesse Fields. So if you look behind me over
Is
here,
he in there?
they think that this is a representation of Nassau over here.
You made that happy face?
The happy face.
No.
Oh, I see it.
Well, somebody
he
has made
is.
him happy by putting crayon on him. Crayon wasn't invented until 1902.
So
here
that's
he is.
his two eyeballs. Where's his bottom part? It just.
Gotta give him some artistic license.
Oh, okay. According to Paul.
Here he's in another.
Oh, he's spooky though now. Oh, okay.
So
Now
if
I
you
see
go,
it.
If you go to
Oh.
Hanaki, there's another portrait of
Yeah.
Nassau that looks a lot like this.
That now that's there he is. I see him now. I thought that was somebody's happy face, and I was appalled. No, I'm okay. Graffiti did, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's so many cool things in there. You see the horses and the cows and rain.
How y'all doing? Why don't you join in with us here? We're looking at happy faces.
Happy faces.
So what I'll do is,
You're going that way?
yeah,
I'll
I'm
follow
gonna
you.
finish up with them, and you guys are gonna join us kind of in the middle here. Sounds good. And then I'll start all over again with you down here. And then when we get to the point where you thinking, I've already heard him say this, you can take off, or you can listen to it a second time. Okay. Which no one's ever taken me up on that.
Well, we stayed for you.
They did. You haven't heard, have I repeated myself?
Nope, you're good.
Darn,
Good to go.
I thought I had.
Nope. She tried.
Yeah. So we were looking just now at what we think are clan signs from ancient Hopi. These signs are up here. They look like a turtle. One here, one here as well. We'll talk about those. There's also some rock art up above me,
Really?
right here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Well, how'd you get up there?
I was thinking the same thing. I
Oh
didn't get up
yeah. The
So they
little-
call it, it's these brown circles.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a very technical name for those. Archaeologists call those mud balls.
Oh, they just slapped them up there.
Took a piece of mud and they
there.
went.
The bar with the dollar bills, right?
Wow.
They got a tube.
So my Hopi informant tells me that these brown circles are markers that they use for ceremonial places. So they did actually have a function. They weren't just a doodle or a pastime that somebody was using. And so that kind of is in conjunction with some of the other rock art here. We think that maybe, I read another culture out in California that for puberty rites of young women coming into the tribal group, they would pick spirit helpers for the remainder of their life. And often they would pick the diamondback rattlesnake as a spirit helper. So we see lines of diamonds here. You guys,
So that's rattlesnake.
yeah, rattlesnake here and here too.
Yeah.
So probably in the area that I'm standing in here was maybe one of these places that they perform some of these ceremonies. So some of these things are clan signs. Some of these are, here's the diamonds. Some of these things are marking something that happened in a ceremonial context. You can see engravings in the rock here. So this is called verti incising. And then right next to me here is more incising in the rock. And so if you look at the book in the visitor center here for sale, I don't get any part of it. A book in the visitor center for sale that talks about the rock art of the red rocks, and it's got a photo of that panel and it says that it is early archaic scratch designs. And early archaic is 8,500 BC to 4,000 BC.
Wow.
So these are minimum maybe 6,000 years old. So some of the, so they're not pictographs, because pictographs are painted on the rock. So they would be incisings, which is petroglyphs. So I'm up here one day when nobody else is up here, and a great revelation comes to me. Great place for revelation.
You're in your vortex.
Yeah. Right underneath the scratching
Yeah.
is a circle with a line through it, which is a pictograph. And these are incised over the top of it. So the principle of archaeology is that something that's over something else means that the thing that it's over is older.
Right.
So this pictograph should be older than the 8,500 BC incisings on the top.
Right.
So with this great revelation, I took pictures of it and I sent an email to my instructor out here. And he said, well, maybe those incisions aren't the oldest rock art out there.
You got something older, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, well, did I win the argument? Or? So I'm still waiting to pump my hand in the air and say that I'm win. But anyway, interesting thing to see this. And so there are symbols up in the northern part of Arizona called cup and channels. And cup and channels are a water ceremony, right? The term. And here is a cup and channel. I don't know if you can see it up there. But cup and channel looks very much like what we're looking at here. The circle of the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe they weren't conducting the ceremony itself because it's done out on a rock, but they're making a representation of that ceremony and putting up on the rock art here is the pictograph. So I explained that to my Hopi friend and she said, oh no, it's a fertility sign. And it has to do with rebirth and reproduction and life and all of those things. So I like to think that this was the beginning of the rock art. It's maybe the oldest, and it was put up here because they sensed this to be a very important place. And so Hopi people believe that all people came from an inner earth inside the rock. So where we are here, we're 3/4 inside the rock. We've got rock overhead, we've got rock here, and we've got rock below us. We just don't have rock out here. So we're kind of in the earth as we are here. So maybe this was something that they felt that was close to the inner earth and it had meaning to it. So hope I didn't get too carried away.
No, you didn't.
Anyway, you get the guys that came in here kind of later. These figures down here are monitoring the dust that comes off the road over here. And there's strips of adhesive in here, and I can tell how much dust is coming up there. And then the next big question is what are they going to do about it? So they don't know the answer to that, so I can't tell you.
I could tell them. Blow.
We'll all turn around and blow.
Should go through.
Yeah. So, anybody recognize this hairstyle?
Oh my
Hopi.
God.
Hello. Star Wars. Yeah. Princess Leia, dude.
You're safe with Princess Leia. So they call this, Hopi call this Poliini. Poli means butterfly and ini means in the fashion. So butterfly fashion hairdo, and it signifies a woman that's not married. So when she gets married, she wears her hair in braids on each side of her head. So when they look at their clan signs, the turtles that I was showing you up here is the water clan sign. And then when they look at the rock art that's behind me here, this lady with her hair in the same manner, they say, well, this is pretty good evidence that we were right, that these were our ancient ancestors that came through here as part of their migration. So has significance for that. So as we go further up the trail here, it gets rockier and it gets gets narrower, so we're gonna have to kind of, keep together, and we're gonna go, I'm gonna go stand up by this tree here on that rock, and we're gonna be looking at this fireplace over here. So if you guys can kind of gather around, just be real careful. Yeah, you need to go up. So we can let you go.
There's no meeting to Princess Anne.
Yeah.